So we'll see what we have in store for the third one, strategy-wise. It looks like no early shenanigans, both players saving up, and we are likely to see double expand again.
It is a bit of a shame for Altanta, because I do wonder if you're Hydra, you're kind of like putting down your first expansion, like, I really need to protect this thing. This guy's coming for it. He's he's relentless. He's coming and threatening that expansion like twice now. So yeah, I do wonder about that.
Oh, Legion Hall. Oh, Ether and Legion Hall, not an expansion from Hydra. We're seeing an adjustment, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's because last game was terrifying. Watching your base die as you rush into Absolvers cannot have been a fun feeling. Yeah. I think this is a necessary adjustment for potential early pushes that Sander has up his sleeve, and I think it's this Zol threat, you know, like Sander's been making those early units to get on the map early, and then that threat of Zol early to tip a fight is so significant.
Look at this mode. So that is so interesting that it's down immediately, right? Like, there wasn't like, oh, maybe we'll get the expansion after the Legion Hall and a couple of Zentaria. It was like, gonna get that tech structure straight away. So this is gonna be really interesting.
One base into Zephyrs, yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm curious to see what happens after that. Is this just a whole lot of one base pressure and then you're going to play around that? Or is it going to be an expansion after that? Yeah, super interesting.
Santa's just the mind game king at this point. I just have to say, like, what a beautiful choice of play here. Getting your expansion up straight away. And then just, if you scout that there's no base there, you just go, alright, cool. That's it. You don't have to do anything else, right? Like, this is just such a neat advantage generated from strategy. And Hydra knows it, I'm sure. Hydra knows that this has taken the L a little bit on the economy game. They just want to play an absolutely dead stable game, because it's definitely worse to lose your expansion once you've made it. And so I think they're just choosing the absolute safest possible. And Zephyrs trade really nicely with early units. And like even now we're gonna see a pack of Bonestalkers run into a couple of Zephyrs and Zentaria, and it's gonna get kited, you know? Like the Bonestalkers will trade, but like you can already see the Zephyrs trade so nicely into these units. It's just how it works. Like, it's gonna be a tough early game for Santa, because Santa hasn't even got Pyre yet.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think like the ability to contest this Pyre early is so huge. I think he can probably even contest down south as well. Yeah. No, it's super interesting. So these Zephyrs, mostly security, it seems like, right? Like I thought there might be a bit more aggression, even on the Pyre camps or something, or like maybe there's a Citadel push after this, but I think it's actually just all security. He just wants to be safe and sound at home, cozy. Oh, yeah. Now that's interesting.
Yeah. There is some real pressure potential here, though. Do you see the Dervish in production now? That's super interesting. That's an adjustment, because obviously we've seen so many Bonestalkers now, and Dervish really can make such light work of Bonestalkers. And here we see the same Zol push, and it's going to look similar, but it won't be the same, because all of a sudden we'll have Dervish and Zephyr instead.
A few more Zephyr, yeah.
Maybe losing those Zentaria was too soon.
Yeah, he didn't wait for those extra units to engage, because the Dervish are fine. They're good against Bonestalkers, but I don't know if it's going to be enough here, right? It's kind of tough because you want to shoot Zol here, but also she's about to time out anyway. So the amount of time Zol just being there bought, and then the health, because all those shots were into Zol rather than anything else. Yeah, and then Hunting Grounds again. This is a mirror of last match. And I think Sanders played this so well, and I think Hydra's actually made a few mistakes because he's just not used to this matchup. Yeah, and so the Hunting Ground's gone now, so it's going to be super dangerous. The extra damage, less damage this time. There's enough Zephyrs that he might be able to save it, or at least shave away these units. It's going to get less and less damage as he kills more. I think he just needed to A move a little earlier. Oh, that was so close.
Can he hold on at home though? Like, at what cost?
Yeah. No, and now that Windstep is up as well, that's the advantage of having the Monastery down early is, right, that the Windstep is out now, right? And so if you're against Hydra and you have no Pyre anymore and he's Windstepping all over you, then I think it's a really hard way to hold, right? Like, because Zephyrs are tough enough anyway, especially against Bonestalkers, right? Like, it takes a while to chunk through them.
I think it's a
trade. If you've got this many Zephyrs, yeah, I think it might be a trade. It's going to be
How do you fight that? That's a harassment symbiote, I guarantee it.
Yeah, and it's working. I mean, it bought like 3 rounds of fire or 4 rounds of shooting, right? And that's the time that might prove the difference here, right?
Nice use of the teapot to tank some shots. I love that usage, but there's still no
Yeah.
good way into this. Like, you're going to get
Yeah.
kited regardless.
No, you need Zakal, and you need a lot as well. That's the thing, right? Like, it's not like you get a couple of Zakal out and now you can fight this. It's you need a shitload of Zakal to deal with this. And the wind step micro is finally coming out, right? And so it's just making these so hard to trade into. Like, he's forcing it back for sure, but he's losing a lot of Bone Stalkers all the way. Here's some of these Zakal.
Yeah, he's bought himself time though, which is critical, right? He has an
Yeah.
economic advantage, so I think he's done it. I think Santa's done enough because he just bought just enough time. I would love to see Hydra go north though to his Citadel to heal. I think that's the key play here is that you have to be healing up. I see he's making a new Citadel in the middle of the map, but really you want to be healing straight away so you can get back in and pressure because really it's a tempo play when you have wind step. You want to be trading out because like look at these units, they're so weak.
Yeah, so getting that heal is huge. Getting that second base, he's doing the same thing again. He's like, oh, I lost my thing, my expansion again. I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. He's going to take another expansion, and he's going to start ticking up like crazy. And I think even better than last time, where you kind of just did it and prayed that Santa wouldn't do anything. This time, he's actually put on a lot of pressure, shaved off a lot of the army, so that Santa's population is low, and now he can do this a bit safer.
Yeah, but I think this might feel different to Santa in a way that actually advantages him, crazily enough. Where I think Santa already feels a little more active and like a little more kind of has units being proactive kind of thing. And if Santa does get proactive on Hydra right now with taking down the rocks and taking down the Citadel, it would be great. I think that Citadel's going to finish just in time though as all the Zephyrs show up. And unfortunately for Santa, this is an anti-timing.
Yeah. Oh, one step forward and going to catch a free Zakal. Yeah.
Now, despite what I just said, I think that may have just completely gone out the window. I think off that one trade alone, Santa's now going to feel pushed off the map. And we might just see Hydra, after losing a base, pull away with an eco lead because he took an instant third.
Yeah, and it's so crazy as well because, like, obviously that is a predicted third for the most part. But just the almost recklessness of it, you know, because, like, Hydra couldn't push and retake Santa's third because he didn't have enough production structures to give him the population he needed to win that fight, right? He was hard stuck on 2 Legion Halls worth fly. And then to make the decision not to like keep pressing that, but actually like tick up and take 2 expansions, that's so much alloy just going to things that don't fight, and it's crazy. And it's working out. This is a bit bold. The Zol is coming in here, going to get a couple of these kills, which is super important.
I love this.
Yeah, that's 2 kills now, and maybe a third.
It's level 4 for Zol. This is really nice. Keep going, keep going. You got all that HP on that summon. You want to use it.
Yeah. So you want Zol to tank in these early fights. Obviously, that becomes a bit harder later on when the armies are so big. She kind of just gets one shot. But early on, you want to make. Yeah, that's a shame. Would have been nice to get to level 5. I don't know if that last one would have done it, but it would have been nice to be close.
Yeah.
Now I think
definitely.
The trick here though is this is Hydra's. It's in Hydra's court. Right, like, he's got the other base, he's got the tech, and now the onus is on Santa to do something.
Yeah, the thing is that like the Zephyr tech just gave such a stability boost to Hydra throughout that little early mid-game segment that Santa's kind of just been left on the back foot a bit here. Like, splitting apart these groups to get the Pyre camps is a brilliant move because I think Pyre is really critical here for Santa, but the map control afforded by that one Citadel, combined with just Zephyr mobility and power, it's just proving super stable, and Santa just doesn't know what's going on. I don't think we've had our one harassment scout thrum to illuminate kind of what's going on this game, and without scouting this throne early, it's so tough.
Yeah, I think it also speaks to, like, the amount of pressure you might feel as a player, right? Like, I feel like those kind of plays are the kind of thing you do when you feel comfortable and, like, at ease, and I think that you're not doing these run bys or these attacks or these like harassment one thrum scouts speaks to that kind of unease or like a bit uncomfortable in the match, right? Like things aren't going exactly the way you wanted. 2 thrones, starting to count. There's a lot of Zakal. That is a shame. I think this is the 3rd time in a row this has happened where Santa hasn't predicted the throne tech and then has overcommitted to ground units that do not kill thrones. Yeah, this is going to be really devastating. Being able to set on top of his work alone. Yeah, and there's resonance as well. Yeah.
I'm surprised he hasn't counted the the thrones just by default. You know, you'd think at some point you just fold it into your composition where you're like, right, I'm just gonna counter thrones. I'm just going wraith bows.
Yeah, no, it is funny that he's missed the timing again, which is a shame. Yeah, there's like 5 bone stalkers there. Not quite enough to do anything to that. And he's migrating the thrones away. I almost think you don't have to. I think you could target fire those bone stalkers and be pretty fine.
Oh, there's a couple of underspines though. Wouldn't want to get slowed down too much.
Good. Yeah, no. Underspines have a movement slow and an attack speed slow on their attack when burrowed. So it can be a pretty big swing in a fight because it's like a splash as well. So it hits quite a few units. Can lower your DPS a significant amount.
I can't believe Hydra's strategy this game was lose your natural into 3 base into throne.
Yeah. And not only that,
How
it was
does
his
that work?
strategy last game. I don't know. Well, apparently, like. So there are A-Rocks, so I wonder if maybe that's the thing is.
Yeah.
This expansion's gonna go down.
4's not quite the number though. Like you need that chunk.
Yeah, and there's enough Zephyr here just chipping away that they're actually stabilizing this. Now the thrones are going to arrive and there's going to be no hope for taking this. Yeah, and the throne count is now getting to that scary number, right? Like 5 isn't it? Oh, they walked into the lightning and took a bit of damage.
I like that by the A-Rocks, just pushing the...
This goes the Blades of the Godhead. Still, there's somewhat of a window now that it's being used. There shouldn't be too many. I see Santa's dancing a lot because he's wary of it. Well, there you go, the A-Rocks. Crashing in, one thrown down, huge damage on another. I think it might be worth trying to snipe that if he's got the units, but I don't think anything's in range. Bit of a shame the Ancient's going to go down here. There's just a bit too much consistent Throne and Zephyr firepower shooting from the safety of that Citadel. Yeah.
And this is such a good trade for Hydra. All of this is just delaying, and it's chipping away and trading, and it's all really good for Hydra. Santa lost that 3rd base. Santa's on a low economy here, and I know I'm calling this early, but I think Hydra's won this game. I just don't see Santa's avenue back. Like, he's stuck on a low economy, trying to transition into stuff to counter, like, top tech air units. And like this play for the rocks, I like that play, but
once again, he's just kind of standing at the rocks.
He just doesn't have the econ behind it, and he doesn't have the tech behind it. He doesn't have the army behind it. I'm really worried for Santa here.
Yeah, I think this is a tough one. It is largely a thrown army, so if there is like an engagement that he can maybe shape off some of the other things, or with this rotation perhaps get away. Yeah. Okay, this shelling is so strange to me because I think it's a really great move, and I think Santa likes it. But this is like you want that space. You want to be moving where the rocks are, because right now the thrones are going to sit right where they are and just shell his army to death with
nice
crashing into. Root Vice is good. I don't know if it's going to be enough though. He lost so much into Blades of the Godhead because he couldn't have that space to dive in on everything. Yeah, that is a really tough spot.
One thing to point out is this is Zol and not Mala. So this will be Draining Embrace and Blood Plague. And Blood Plague is way, way better versus Thrones than Birthing Storm is. And so we could see a scenario where we start to see Blood Plague on these Thrones and really turn some of these fights. And we are seeing the Red Seers start to come out. There's one on the left side of the screen there, just slowly building up mana. But, well, I don't know if it's going to be too little too late, but that's an avenue back.
For sure. I think the funniest thing is it's Hydra running up to that base just now to check there was another expansion, not realizing there's probably, I think there's a secret base out the very top left corner of the map. Yeah, so the Underspines are down, but they're going to get Thrones, the Godhead. Blades of the Godhead counter a lot of those deployable units, which is a shame. Need two to get the Underspines, right? They're kind of healthy. They regenerate quite fast underground. Is that a base in the top left there?
I think it must be. Yeah. It's Santa's only real way back at this point, I feel like. It's also a brilliant base to take in terms of it takes Thrones forever to get up there. So I really like taking that one that's far away.
No, I think it's a good thing to point out. You know, because that's what Santa has going from his speed. Oh, and the Zephyrs are really, that's such a... You know, the Blades of the Godhead can like... The Throne spells can really push you back in a fight. But it's, you know, dodgeable. But the Zephyrs can get that really consistent damage with the wind step, you know, always shaving away. Nice move here. Losing nothing there to stop that Citadel. Yeah,
Well, the
Diggy-
Fire Singers coming in is just the icing on the cake for me that is just going to
Mm-hmm.
end this game, because I don't see
Really?
any way the center doesn't get closed in on, because you lose ground having to dodge away from the shots on the throne, and then once that ground is ground, nice, Toby. Once that ground is seeded, it becomes a Fire Singer.
Yeah. No, the Fire Singers. Fire Singers. Oh
Fire Singers in the ground. Yeah!
We got Fire Seers all over the ground, my god. Okay, he's diving in and it's just madness. He's gonna get so heavily punished for this. The Fire Singer is doing that huge AoE burn you can see across all the units. Blades of the Godhead shaving off everyone else and nothing to show for it. That is so hard. And you can see he's encircling. It's like a concave now. And he's trying to get something done to these thrones and it's just not happening. Two thrones go down, but like at what cost? There's so many units dropping. Not as bad as it could have been. I think the rest of the thrones peeling back a lot was surprising there.
Yeah, I can understand pulling them back after you've used their ability just to make sure they're not dying, but I think that was not a good trade for Sen. I think those rocks at the third, I absolutely agree with you. Why not kill those rocks? The sitting behind them, chipping away is never going to work if thrones roll over. If he had killed those rocks, though, he could be bouncing between these two locations. And this is exactly what Hydra's going to do to him now, saying, well, come and get me then. You only have one path, it's through the middle of the map, and I have closed that completely. Yeah. And if those rocks at the third were open, at least he'd have this avenue to run around the static defense and cause some issues, so it's not just a straight loss.
Right? But it's too late. Like, so it's going to delay him before he gets into the trade for this, right? Because I think he is trading. I think he knows that like the thrones on these like high ground cliff plays is too dangerous. So he's going to go and attack the third here, and I think he'll get this. But I mean, it's what happens after that is the big one, because he's going to lose all of his production and his main Empire Unbroken is going to buy extra time. Oh my god, the Ore Strike is pretty good and the Blades of the Godhead's pretty good too. It gets some rainbows out back. Yeah, and then the Fire Singers are doing huge AoE damage here. Zol summons in. She's going to tank a few hits, but then drop down really fast. This whole base is just dying. The army is evaporating, and there's still, I think, a throne in the main. There's the GG. And man,